Good afternoon and welcome to News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi with stories making the headlines. According to the press release signed by Yusuf Olaniyonu, Special Advisor, Media and Publicity to President of the Senate, and Turaki Hassan, Special Advisor, Media and Public Affairs to Speaker House of Representatives, there is no date for National Assembly reconvening on INEC budget. The statement, which was released this morning, reads in part, quote, "The President of the Senate, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, and Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, have directed that we inform all senators, honorable members, and the public that a date has not been set for the reconvening of the Senate and the House of Representatives to consider the Independent National Electoral Commission 2019 elections budget request forwarded by President Muhammadu Buhari on July 17 this year. The leadership of the two chambers had met and agreed to reconvene to consider the proposal this week, before which a meeting between the joint Senate and House of Representatives committees on electoral matters and officials of INEC must have held on before Monday, August 13 this year. President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, on Monday met Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, lasted more than an hour and a half. Details of the meeting were not made available to journalists. It was the second visit to a former Nigerian leader that Senator Saraki has made in the last 1 week, following last Wednesday's press conference on the sidelines of DSS officials blocking the National Assembly. Last Wednesday, the President of the Senate also visited former military leader Ibrahim Babangida in Minna, Niger State. Now, two lawmakers, Senators Rafiu Adebayo and Issa Misal, have sued the Attorney General of the Federation, the Police and the Department of State Services, the Senate and 7 others in order to stop the attempts to remove the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki. Senators Adebayo and Misal are supporters of Senator Saraki, instituted the fresh court action before a federal high court sitting in Abuja on Monday. Other defendants in the suit are the majority and deputy majority leaders of the Senate, the clerk of the Senate, the deputy clerk of the Senate, the Senate President, the deputy Senate President, and the deputy minority leader. Senators Adebayo and Misal, who represent Kwara South and Bauchi Central senatorial districts respectively, also want the court to determine whether Senator Saraki can be compelled to vacate his office on the grounds that it's not a member of a political party, with a majority of senators in the Senate in view of the combined reading of Section 50 of the Constitution and Order 3 Rule of 8 of the Senate Standing Orders. Chairman of Nigeria's independent electoral body, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, gets reprieve as a court of appeal sitting in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital territory, suspends bench warrant ordering his arrest. The arrest of the INEC chairman was initially ordered by Justice Stephen Pam of a federal high court, also sitting in Abuja, criticizing his failure to appear in court on 3 different occasions. However, Justice Abdul Abuki of the Court of Appeal suspended the order, adjourning the case till mid of September.
Judiciary is sufficient to sustain the democracy in Nigeria. So there should be no lawlessness, there should be no impunity, there should be no recklessness, either of executive or legislature, because judiciary is alive to its responsibilities. They have now stayed further proceedings in the High Court. They have also suspended the execution of the bench warrant issued by the judge, and we'll come back to argue our appeal on the 17th of September.
We now move over to Kwara State, where men of the anti-riot squad of the State Police Command have arrested 5 students of College of Education, Ilorin, who masterminded the protest that rocked the state capital yesterday. Students of the college staged a peaceful protest over alleged distortion of their second semester examination and over 4.5 months unpaid salaries of their lecturers by the state government. The students' protest, which reportedly paralyzed commercial activities at Sawmill area, where the institution is located, also caused traffic gridlock around the area. Spokesman of the command, DSP Ajayi Okasomi, who confirmed the arrest of the affected students in Ilorin yesterday, said, quote, "Our men have arrested 5 of the students who are ringleaders of the protest. They are presently being interrogated over the protest," end of quote. Moving on to some sad development as well, no fewer than 19 corps members were injured on Monday in a lone accident involving a Nissan civilian bus at Danko area of Shagamu along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The injured corps members were traveling to their places of primary assignment in Ota after the 3-week orientation exercise which ended on Monday in NYSC Camp Shagamu. NAN reports that the injured corps members, comprising 9 males and 10 females, were treated at nearby Julius Berger and FRSC clinics, while 4 critically injured were taken to the teaching hospital in Shagamu. No life was lost in the accident. Clement Oladele, Ogun Sector Commander of Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, who confirmed the incident to NAN, blamed the accident on speed violation. The FRSC official advised passengers to always caution drivers against overspeeding, especially during the rainy season. Nigerian youths have come under fire recently over a number of social issues mitigating their ability to positively engage themselves. These range from unemployment to lack of skills, not excluding being pawns in the hands of fast-talking politicians. To this end, Nigerian youths have been urged to take a stand and participate not only in politics, but also in every sphere of national development. Our Plus TV Africa correspondent Edidiong Iwang tells us more.
Earlier this year, the European Union decried what it termed the shortage of Nigerian youth participating in partisan politics. Well, shortly after that, President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. With a voting population of 95.8 million, youth population accounts for 63%, and that is 60 million of the voting population. Well, that's according to the Independent National Electoral Commission. On the sidelines of the International Youth Day designated by the United Nations to draw attention to a given set of cultural and legal issues surrounding youth, youth in Lagos have gathered here to create awareness on the importance of the permanent voters card. With the passage of the Not Too Young to Run bill and calls for youth inclusion in politics, youth have been urged to get involved in politics now that they are young.
So I think what is key is for young people to get involved in governance. Find a space. If you're aiming to get to the top of the ladder, you must start from the bottom at least. So if you're aspiring to say one day I want to be the governor of my state, I want to be the president of this country, get into it early, get into politics early, and then grow in that system.
I'm encouraging the youth. If it is the politics is the way forward, then we should cheat in. We should cheat in the politics. There is not any party that chase away youth. Did you hear any party in Nigeria chase away youth? No. Did you hear any party in Nigeria that youth, when they no welcome them? You go there. Follow a gradual process.
With electoral season fast approaching, Nigerian youth have been tasked with the responsibility of making their votes count and not selling them.
2019, we don't expect young people to sell their votes. We don't want them to take money for their PVCs. We want them to go out to register for their PVCs. It closes in Lagos on the 17th of August. If you're not happy with the status quo, the most powerful thing that you can do as a citizen is to get your PVC, is to vote, and to make sure you sit and protect your vote.
All said and done, it is hoped that come 2019, there will be a shift and youth will take a stand and participate in the democratic process of governance. Edidiong Iwang, reporting for Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. Don't go anywhere. Glad to have you back. You're still watching news on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Now, a senior press secretary to Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni said on Monday evening that the president's car came under attack by opposition supporters in the town of Arua, where a by-election is to hold on Wednesday. Photos shared by Don Wayama show that the rear mirror of the president's Toyota V8 had been smashed in the attack. He did not comment whether the president was hurt or not. The information came barely an hour after a popular lawmaker, Robert Sentamu, also known as Bobby Wine, posted on Twitter that police had attempted to kill him. Local media portals are reporting that Bobby Wine has been taken into police custody along with a fellow lawmaker. The legal secretary of Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party, Paul Mnangagwa, has said its lawyers will respond to the opposition's court challenge of the election results by Wednesday. President Mnangagwa, who had previously said he was convinced the opposition have no case, spoke on Monday when the country was celebrating Heroes' Day. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, while officiating the national ceremony, urged Zimbabweans to unite to rebuild the economy. In his first national address since being declared winner in a disputed presidential vote, Mr. Mnangagwa blamed the main opposition movement for democratic change for the post-voting violence that saw 6 people being killed after the army stepped in to quell post-election protests this month. The Democratic Republic of Congo started using the experimental MAB-114 Ebola treatment developed in the U.S. by the National Institute of Health on patients in the east of the country, the health ministry said on Tuesday, the first time it has been deployed against an active outbreak. The outbreak in the eastern Congo's North Kivu province has now spread to neighboring Ituri province, where a person who was confirmed was said to have died after returning home from the flare-ups epicenter in the North Kivu town of Mangina, the ministry said in a town. 5 new cases have been confirmed, the ministry said, bringing the total number of cases up to 57. The ministry said that 41 people are believed to have died in all from the hemorrhagic fever. The Zambian government has approved a bill to regulate social media and enhance cyber security. The chief government spokesperson, Dora Siliya, said the cabinet approved the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Bill, which will replace some clauses in the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act of 2009. The bill will also facilitate the establishment of cybersecurity regulator, which will help protect Zambia's critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. Also, the government introduced a tariff charge on internet calls to protect jobs in the telecommunications sector. Now, President of Tunisia, Beji Essebsi, has proposed that inheritance rights be equalized between men and women in his country. President Essebsi said in a speech marking Women's Day in Tunisia. According to the president, he hopes to send the proposal as soon as possible, probably in October when Parliament resumes. Equalizing inheritance among males and females is currently a hotly debated topic in Tunisia. Tunisian law stipulates that male heirs get double their assets given to females of the same level of kinship. But Essebsi has said he is committed to overturning that and make equality the rule. When we return, we bring you more stories from the foreign scene. Stay tuned. And on the foreign scene, Westminster Underground Station was closed on Tuesday morning after a car collided with security barriers outside London's Parliament building nearby, police said. The man who drove the vehicle was detained at the scene after the crash, which caused injuries to a number of pedestrians. Footage on social media showed heavily armed police response units arriving at the scene, with the area outside the Parliament building in central London cordoned off. Sadly, 40 children were among the 51 people killed in a Saudi-led coalition airstrike on a bus in rebel-held northern Yemen, the Red Cross said in a new toll on Tuesday. The new casualty toll came after a mass funeral was held for many of the dead children on Monday, in which thousands vented anger against Riyadh and Washington. An 11-year-old boy has managed to hack into a replica of Florida's election results website in 10 minutes and change names and tallies during a hackers convention, DEF CON. Organizers of the event said these are stoking concerns about security ahead of nationwide votes. The boy was the quickest out of 35 children ages 6 to 17 who all eventually hacked into copies of the website of 6 swing states during the 3-day DEFCON Security Convention over the weekend. The event was meant to test the strength of the U.S. election infrastructure, and details of vulnerabilities would be passed on to the states. The National Association of Secretaries of State, however, said the actual systems used by states would have additional protections. U.S. President Donald Trump's national security team warned 2 weeks ago that Russia had launched pervasive efforts to interfere in the November polls. Up next is our business report with Ididiong Iwang.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says it is aimed at supplying about 5 billion standard cubic feet per day of gas to its local domestic market. Now, this was disclosed during the 42nd Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigerian International Conference, an exhibition in Lagos. Speaking on the new plans, Mr. Bello Raibu, the Chief Operating Officer upstream of NNPC, says with 5 BCFD domestic gas supply, Nigeria will have sufficient gas to generate 15 gigawatts of power, 7 to 10 MTPA of fertilizer, 10 MPTA of other petrochemical, 5 MPTA of methanol, and 40 MPTA of cement. He said with a willing buyer, willing seller environment, up to 5 million jobs can be created, grow Nigerians' GDP, and help with import substitution worth between $7 and $8 billion. Now, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries rose in July on the back of increased output recorded by Nigeria, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. In its monthly oil market report, OPEC's output averaged 32.32 million barrels per day in July, up 41,000 BDP from June. Now, increased production in Nigeria, Kuwait, and the UAE more than offset the drop recorded in Libya, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, and that's according to Bloomberg. OPEC agreed in June to increase output by 1 billion barrels per day in a bid to prevent sharp rallies in crude prices that could potentially curb consumer demand. While oil prices have today inched upwards as Saudi Arabia tightened their supply to avoid oversupply. Now, this was confirmed by OPEC. The Brent crude oil futures stood at $72.58 per barrel, which was 0.3 rise from its last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up by 0.4% to trade at $67.45 per barrel, and OPEC reports also show that it expects world oil demand to grow by 1.43 million barrels per day in 2019. Now, that's down from 1.6 million barrels per day in 2018. Well, that's it on business news. What's still to come is a roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, Vogue, a leading global magazine, has listed Wizkid as the hottest pop star, even when a lot of Nigerians still argue about who should own that spot. According to Vogue, Wizkid is the undisputed hottest pop star by almost any measure. Wizkid, who just opened a Starboy pop shop in New York, in America, might have been the reason for this undoubted conclusion by Vogue. The collection for Wizkid's merchandise was unveiled in Manhattan's Meatpacking District, and according to him, the reason for this new development was to give his fans a piece of him, and that was the reason he and his team designed some shirts and bandanas. Local rapper AKA and his baby's mother DJ Zinle in South Africa got up close and personal on Sunday at a Santon nightclub, and the picture of them has sent Twitter into a frenzy. Twitter fans were left shaken after a photo surfaced of the pair in an embrace at Taboo nightclub, with some judging DJ Zinle for taking AKA back. It seems that the Twitter verse can breathe a sigh of relief as DJ Zinle disputed the rumors in tweets, saying that she just stepped out of a meeting and saw that Tweeps had decided that she has a boyfriend again, and that hugging someone means you all are dating, with laughing emojis. Rihanna's Hollywood home was monitored by a hovering helicopter after an alarm was set off at her mansion on Monday. The Wild Thoughts singer's pad was kept under surveillance by the Los Angeles Police Department whilst they determined what triggered the security device to sound off. According to news sources, the 30-year-old singer was not at the property when the disturbance took place, and fortunately, it turned out to just be a false alarm. Police were sent to the Diamond singer's abode on that occasion after they were alerted to the fact that someone was inside the property and may have tampered with the burglar alarm system. And the officers discovered 26-year-old Eduardo Leon, who appeared to have been there for some time. It wasn't clear if the man took anything from the house or how he gained entry. However, he was later charged with the stalking charge and burglary. The incident came hours after Rihanna announced who will host her Diamond Ball this year. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. In basketball, the Nigerian Basketball Federation has assured teams participating in the NBBF Total Division II League of better welfare package as the competition dunks off in Abeokuta and Benue. NBBF President Engineer Musa Kida assured that the Federation will be committed to ensuring the provision of subsidies and kits for participating teams in the Division II League according to the promise made at the 2018 annual stakeholders meetings held in Lagos and Abuja. The president also said the Federation had to communicate their position directly to the various state associations as regards teams' welfare and sustainability plans during the state and zonal phases. Kida explained that the sponsorship deal, which is valued at 15 million naira for the NBBF Total Division II, will be fully bankrolled when the competition gets to the conference phase. And the NBBF said it was totally impossible to spread the sum amongst over 72 teams participating at the state and zonal phases at the very early stage, and he charged state chairmen and club owners to think outside the box in sourcing for funds and attracting sponsors for their teams to make their burden easier on the federation. And in football, Arsenal have forced controversial fan channel Arsenal Fan TV to change their name as they feared it was having a negative impact on the club's image. And the YouTube channel will now be known as AFTV after a cease and desist letter was sent by the club due to the use of Arsenal branding on all their social media channels. And Arsenal Fan TV had become notorious for their post-game reaction videos, with fans often going on expletive-led rants at the site's performances and former manager Arsene Wenger. Around 820,000 people subscribed to the channel, which has had 487.5 million views worldwide, leaving Arsenal to worry about the impact it had on the club. A meeting between club officials and AFTV saw them come to a conclusion that a change in name was needed, with the channel's branding on Twitter and Instagram changed from Arsenal Fan TV to @AFTV Media. The channel came in for criticism from Spanish fullback Hector Bellerin earlier this year and is often the cause for much mockery from opposition fans. And in tennis, Serena Williams marked her return to action after missing the Rogers Cup in Montreal with a comprehensive 6-1, 6-2 victory over Daria Gavrilova at the Western and Southern Open. And the 23-time Grand Slam winner and a former champion in Cincinnati needed just 65 minutes to dispatch Gavrilova, and she'll go on to face 8-seeded Petra Kvitova in Tuesday's second round. And Williams suffered the worst loss of her career earlier in the month when she was defeated 6-1, 6-love by Johanna Konta, but said she knew she would play a zillion times better. Another former world number one, Victoria Azarenka, beat Carla Suarez Navarro in 3 sets, while US Open finalists Madison Keys beat Bethany Matek-Sands 3-6, 7-6, 6-4. And that's it on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoku.
Many thanks, Udoka. And that's a news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates and broadcasts, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines at 3 p.m. I'm David Alabi. Good afternoon.